Hello. Again, I don't have anything really to say. I just want to talk about the Dhamma. Um, so often when I talk about the Dhamma in modern days, a lot of it has to do with just correcting wrong view. Because, well, there's this whole Neo-Advaita movement, and non-duality seems to be the main thing in spirituality from what I'm seeing in some. Basically, they even abridged what the Buddha was saying, so a lot of the time when I talk about the Dhamma, I talk about the Dhamma, but I also have to talk about this is not true, I disprove this, right? So instead of me having to disprove a lot of things, might as well just try to establish right view. Basically, instead of just disproving, I'm just gonna try to prove the Dhamma. Does that make sense? So the first thing about right view, right, is do you see? And you can contemplate this intellectually, and it can lead to some amount of insight, I'm sure. But just seeing it moment to moment, that things arise due to conditions. Like, certain conditions have to meet for a certain thing to arise. Like, for example, for me to talk to you and you're listening, the condition has to meet that I have to have a phone, right? I have to exist. The phone has to record me. There has to be an environment where I can be. You have to have been born. I had to have been born. My parents have to have been born. Your parents had to have been born. The guy who created the phone's parents have to have been born. The guy who came up with the idea of a smartphone have to have been born. The factory had to exist. Everything. Like, there's so many conditions that exist just so this video could appear, right? And it's the same with everything. Every view you can have, except conditionality itself, funnily enough. But even that view, right, arose due to conditions, because you had to have a mind, a language, conditionality as something to be seen, so I guess the senses are necessary to some degree. There's more conditions. Like, you can retrace conditions infinitely. It's not really the point to know every condition for everything. It's just enough to know is that if you analyze anything, you can name a bajillion conditions for that thing's arising. And the non-dual folk are gonna cut me off. Those conditions are just concepts. You're just labeling unlabelable things. Okay, well, why can I take my shirt off? Are me and the shirt the same thing? Yeah, you could say it's all one unnameable movement, right? But that's not very practical, right? That's just refusing to take a stance, and that's not genuinely gonna lead to ending of suffering, right? That's just gonna lead to bypassing, to avoidance. People tend to be evasive with these things, especially spiritual things. They either like to dress up the cage, calling it holy or whatever, or they like to pretend it's not there, saying these are just labels, suffering is just resistance. But I really, really do wonder, I'm not trying to be mean here, but I do wonder what these people would behave like if, I don't know, something bad happened to them physically, or they experienced great loss. I wonder how long that idea can last, that suffering. The thing is, I understand these things from a different point of view because I held those views for a short period of time. So I understand how the mind works. I'm not judging them. But eventually you're gonna have to wake up from the illusion that it's holy or whatever and see that it's pretty messy, right? See, the whole point of Buddhist practice is to see the impermanent nature of all conditioned things, and that they're dukkha and cannot be clung to as self, right? That's the 3 marks of existence. And why is that the thing? Why do you want to see dukkha? Why can't you just be positive and just chill? Because that's not gonna lead to liberation. Hear me out. Because everything is conditioned, so is liberation to some degree. right? Of course it points and leads to the unconditioned nibbana, but the path there is pretty conditioned. You have to actually fulfill some conditions. It's not just like why would you not cling, right? If you saw things as holy, right? Non-clinging arises with disenchantment as a condition, right? And disenchantment only arises with seeing the unsatisfactory nature of things. You can't be disenchanted with things if they're satisfactory, right? If every moment is complete, you're not gonna. The moments are conditioned, right? This moment for me is not the same as it is for you. For me, it's like a POV. I'm looking at a phone. There's a little me on the phone. There's sunlight in my eyes a little bit. I'm squinting. Like when I was at work an hour ago, that's not how it was. The moment was different. So the moment is conditioned. And then people are like, yeah, but your awareness of the moment is always the same. But what if when you're knocked out? And also, see, when people go non-dual, again, I'm disproving, but it's just, I want to get this out still. But when people go non-dual with the experience, it's like there's no, the observer is the observed. Yes, that is a conditioned perception that leads to a certain amount of non-clinging. The Buddha actually used those perceptions. They're the formless attainments, the base of infinite consciousness, infinite space, infinite nothing. And I went in different order. It's infinite space, infinite consciousness, infinite nothing, and perception, non-perception, and have the cessation attainment. But those are all conditioned states, right? That's the whole point. And the only way that leads to radical non-clinging, enough to the point where you're no longer clinging to becoming, so that dependent origination gets undone and nirvana is realized, is the Noble Eightfold Path. Specifically, seeing dukkha as dukkha, seeing it so clearly that everything is unsatisfactory. And that doesn't mean neglecting the niceness of things, right? That would not be seeing clearly. Some things are clearly nice, but they're not permanent. They're not safe, they're fragile, and you're always... Like, see, I like to do the Asubha meditation a lot, which is just meditating on how nasty the body is and all the ways it can get hurt and all the guaranteed losses that's waiting for me. And just like it's, you know, you're never safe. You're never really safe. Never. No matter how nice your life is right now, no matter how clean your perception is, no matter how, you know, you're not safe. And if you don't see that, if you don't see the danger in becoming, the danger in samsara, the danger in clinging to it is holy. You know, if you cling to it as holy, you're basically just taking the cage, samsara, that's full of death, sickness, wars, abuse, horrible things I don't even want to mention, and you're saying it's holy. That's why some people don't subscribe to that, is because, like, the same reason they'll subscribe to God. Why does he allow all the suffering? And then they have infinite copes, all free will, that. But nah, bro, let's be honest. Just be honest with me. See, I'm not a hater. I'm just being honest. I'm just being real. I'm just seeing clearly here. It's dukkha. It's not satisfying. The satisfying parts are temporary. They're impermanent. They're conditioned. Conditions change. The only thing that's truly satisfying is that which does not arise, which does not age, which is not sick, which does not die. And that's only nirvana. So if your practice is not actually leading to this passion, to non-clinging, but is leading to some sort of weird attachment to life, to becoming as holy, wholesome as it may seem, it's actually just an even bigger trap, right? Because you're turning away from the dukkha and pretending it doesn't exist. When true equanimity, true wisdom, true patience, and true freedom is seeing the dukkha clearly, not being like, this is not dukkha, but being like, this is dukkha, but I'm not turning away, and I'm not getting bothered by it, but I'm seeing it, and I'm not clinging to it either. That's the only way. The mind must turn away from these things. If the mind relishes, if the mind delights in becoming, you're conditioning more dukkha, because every intentional action leads to further conditioning. Yeah, see, the Dhamma is really deep and intricate, so I can't explain all of it here as much as I would love to. I just wanted to get this out of me today, exactly what I just said. If you want to talk to me, I'm always open for discussion. Comment down below, we'll arrange. We can do a video or we can do it offline. I'm here to just talk Dhamma. Whoever wants to talk Dhamma with me, you're welcome. I'm already scheduling a video with a subscriber soon. Can't wait for that. We're gonna have a nice Dhamma talk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.